Good morning, or depending on when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always told, out of Voice of Radio. So today we're going back to Paldea Evolved, because we've got to talk about a new EX, which that's kind of cool and kind of interesting. And we've got to talk about one of the most annoying cards that we've had in a very long time. It's one that I hope to never play against. But first, Copperajah EX. The EXs so far in the Scarlet and Violet era have been weird. It's just weird, ladies and gentlemen. Fortress apparently gets a Terra EX, which I'm sorry, I cannot be the only one that did not see that coming. Copperajah getting an EX in the second main set? Yeah. I think it's fair to say this is something else that I just did not see coming. But I kind of love it. Copperajah is one of the best Pokemon, one of the coolest Pokemon that came around in Gen 8. So you know what? Getting itself an EX here? Yeah. I'll take that, ladies and gentlemen. I will absolutely take that. But what does it actually do? Well, I'm delighted to say I actually did the translations for this one all on my lonesome. Though I did check with the lovely Anton Boulet just to make sure I've not done any sillies. So what we got here is 300 HP. Now, for a Stage 1 EX, 300 is high. Let's make no bones about this, ladies and gentlemen. For 300 HP, this is Stage 1. Very, very good. This is a big, beefy Pokemon, which isn't a huge surprise with it being, you know, this. But still, that's kind of big. I mean, it's in line with Gyarados, who has to evolve from Magikarp, so yeah. It's not the biggest Stage 1 EX we've seen so far, but it is the joint biggest Stage 1 EX we've seen so far. 260 seems to be about the average, so being up here 300 joint with Gyarados, that's a pretty big deal. So that's a good start. And we've got an ability that means it takes 30 less damage from attacks, which shouldn't really surprise you. This is kind of Copperajah's thing. Copperajah is big and beefy and survives a while. It is actually the first Copperajah we've seen that's got this ability, but we do have the one that isn't affected by special conditions. And then, of course, the V takes less damage next turn, so yeah. This is about right, ladies and gentlemen. This is about right. So cool. Big. Hard to KO. All looking pretty good now. What does it actually do? Free energy, 260, and 30 damage to each of your bench. Oh. Yeah, you kind of have to have that. Because this was actually, like, legit in danger of being a bit too good. Like, this is a genuinely really good card. I am convinced this is a really good card with a gigantic caveat I'm going to get to in a moment. Because what we've got here is free energy 260, and I just told you that 260 is what we need to do to get KOs on Stage 1 EXs. So you're getting basic Vs, you're getting basic EXs, you're getting Stage 1 EXs, and actually, your average V-Star has 280, so you're getting V-Stars as well. If you get a choice belt. Sorry, that's really important. If you get a choice belt, you're getting V-Stars as well. So actually, the only things you're not getting here are V-Maxes and Stage 2 EXs. And you're a Stage 1 that is incredibly hard to KO, and you're doing really good damage. Like, this is one of the ones where I would absolutely go for Radiant Gardevoir as my Radiant Pokemon of choice. I think this is just absolutely crying out for Radiant Gardevoir, because, of course, Radiant Gardevoir means you take 20 less damage from attacks. So, combined with this, you take 50 less damage from attacks. Before you even get going, without anything else, you just take 50 less damage from attacks. And you've got 300 HP, and you're dealing 260. Now, honestly, my least favourite thing about this card, the thing that gets me about this card, is that we no longer have Metal Saucer. That's rotated. With Metal Saucer, I legitimately adore this card. With Metal Saucer, and again, we don't have Metal Saucer, but with Metal Saucer, I think this is stunning. I think this is, like, legitimately, genuinely stunning. because then you can accelerate the energy and jobs are good. And that's not where we are. We don't have Metal Saucer. We do still have the Bronzong that can move energy around, because that one came around in Battle Styles and therefore will survive the rotation. But the good metal energy acceleration was Metal Saucer. Or even Zacian just getting the energy onto itself with its ability and then being able to move it around the field with Bronzong would be really good. We have, until recently, we have had really good energy acceleration. We do not currently have really good energy acceleration for metal, which genuinely does make me like a little bit sad, because with some energy acceleration, this would be absolutely amazing. Like, genuinely awesome, love it. And I'm very sad we don't have it. And that's a problem to me, because I don't see where the energy comes from. Now, I'm not sure it's actually that bad, all right? And the reason I'm not sure it's actually that bad is because it survives. It survives well. So my theory here essentially is that you can afford to attach the energy manually, given that you're going to probably be surviving a few hits. Now, before anybody says, yes, I am well aware that we have Magnezone. Magnezone is an option, because you get to look at the top 6 cards of your deck, attach any metal energy you find to your Pokemon in any way you like. I'm also aware Magnezone is a stage 2. I am also aware that we always have the option of using Mirage Gate. Now, Mirage Gate does get you to different energy, but do bear in mind this has a colorless cost in, so play a couple of literally any kind of energy and you'll be fine. So there are other ways around it. I'm not saying there's no energy acceleration. It's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that there's nothing here which I think is good enough. Metal Saucer is what we want here. Maybe Zacian. That's what I'm talking about. We don't have them. And that's my problem, ladies and gentlemen. That's my problem. Hey-ho. On the upside, we do have 3 different artworks of the Magnezone with Giga Magnet, so, you know, that's kind of cool, right? Yeah. So I'm giving this Pokemon 4 War Seas. I like this. I genuinely really like this. I think it's a very good card. I'm worried about the energy acceleration. I think the HP is great. I think the ability is great. I think the damage you do is really good. And it's a numbers thing here, yeah? That's literally it. We're talking about a numbers thing. The fact that you're going to be able to survive a lot of hits, obviously if you're being hit for weakness, that's a problem. But you're honestly not being hit for weakness by much. Fire decks are not really that great at the moment. Obviously, Radiant Charizard accepted. Radiant Charizard will be a problem. I am aware of that, as I know you are. We'll have to see how popular that is post-rotation. But my point is, you hit great numbers, you survive a bunch of hits. If we can get the energy on here, things are looking very nice. But I also promised you one of the most annoying Pokemon we've seen in a very long time, and we have one. It's Glimmora. Yay! And this one's really, really annoying. One of the reasons why it's so annoying, I should say, is because it's actually got Ascension on the basic. Now, because there's a new Gen 9 Pokemon, you know the deal by now, there are going to be 2 basic Pokemon. There is no decision to be made here whatsoever. None at all. We have got ourselves Glimmit, and basically what we've got here is one which has 70 HP and single energy 20, which is actually not terrible. Single energy 20 on an evolving basic is fine. 70 HP is quite good. The other one's got 40 HP, but it's got Ascension, so you can search for a Pokemon that evolves from it and evolve it as the attack. So you go second, turn 1, pop an energy on, you get Glimmora straight up. No question, you play the 40 HP one. Ascension here is huge. Because Glimmora has an ability whereby when it's knocked out, you flip a coin. If heads, your opponent doesn't take any prize cards. Which means I use Ascension, my opponent KOs, I flip a coin, flip heads, and then my opponent doesn't take a prize. This is why the Ascension one is absolutely huge. It's why you've got to play it, even though it's got 40 HP. Because essentially, The 70 HP one is going to be there. The 40 HP I can evolve using my attack. And then I go second, but I've still got the stage 1 there in the active at the start of my opponent's second turn. That's why it's so gosh darn big. There we go. Although going first will be slightly dodgy, because if you go first, your opponent will be able to attack and you've got a 40 HP basic in the active. You have been warned. But then we've got an attack for a single fighting energy that does poison, but you put 6 damage counters on your opponent's poison Pokemon rather than 1 during Pokemon checkup. This is awesome, ladies and gentlemen. This is absolutely awesome. So you basically sit there with your Pokemon doing 6 damage counters worth of poison between turns, and then when your opponent tries to KO you, you flip a coin. If you flip heads, they don't get a prize. Now, I will say, and this is kind of important, it's a little gimmicky. Because it's all on the coin flip. Like, the poison for 6 is fun, but 6 times poison, let's be honest with you, it's not quite enough. I wish it was. The 6 times poison really isn't actually enough. It's going to end up being a bit of a problem. You're not doing quite enough damage. You need to be there for a few turns in order to really make the most of it. And so you're relying on flipping heads with the ability. And if you keep flipping heads with the ability, this is absolutely amazing. If you don't keep flipping heads with the ability, it gets really annoying really quickly. And also, while we're popping out Radiant Pokemon, obviously here, this is another one where you have to go with a particular Radiant. You have to go Radiant Hisui and Sneasler, because then instead of being 6 damage counters between turns, it turns into 8 damage counters between turns, and that's a very, very big deal indeed. And then, of course, what you can do is just stop your opponent retreating in a fairly hilarious way. So we've got the Muck from Brilliant Stars that increase the retreat cost of poisoned Pokemon by 1 colorless energy. So that could potentially work here. And we've got that new Stadium, which is coming around in the same set, which says that the retreat cost of non-fighting Pokemon is increased by 1. So between Muck and this new Stadium, you can actually be having yourself quite a lot of fun, just kind of sitting there poisoning your opponent, stopping them getting out the active, and then in theory, and it is just a theory, but in theory they sit there taking the poison damage, you flip heads, they don't take any prizes, jobs are good. And it's gimmicky and it's flippy, and I understand all of this, and I don't particularly care. Between the massive amounts of poison that do build up very quickly if you can't get around it, stopping your opponent retreating, and saying that they basically don't get to take a prize when they take a KO, assuming you flip heads, which is a big assumption, yeah. This is a very big deal, ladies and gentlemen. This is a very big deal. But, as I said a minute ago, I legitimately love Copperajah, and I think it's great. So there we go. Oh, Glimmora, I'm giving 3 Wassies, alright? It's not actually a great Pokemon because it is flippy, and if you flip too many tails, you're not going to have a great deck. But there will be people that play this, and they will play against good players with meta decks, and they flip a bunch of heads and win, and that will be hilarious. But now, ladies and gentlemen, it's over to you guys. Tell me what you think about this. Tell me how excited you are by these cards. Tell me what you think. All that good stuff in the comment section. Go nuts! Be nice! And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at @TheWasi. That's where we talk Pokemon and card games and Pokemon card games, all kinds of fun things. And please do consider checking out patreon.com/PTCG Radio, where you can support the channel, get some bonus podcasts, join a Discord, all kinds of fun things. But by far the and get shout-outs on the channel, that's also really important. Like the lovely Danger Morales, who's been a supporter of ours for a while and is a very lovely person. But by far the most important thing, as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.